Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first Healthcare Content Creators Forum at Medics in Tech. I'm your host for today, and we have two hosts today. I am Dr. Anjelee, and we have Dr. Valerie. So she'll be coming on later. Today is a wonderful day. It's a great day. It's a groundbreaking event because this is our very first seminar in the Healthcare Content Creators Forum in Medics in Tech. Medics in Tech, for short, MIT, is our community where we help medics become digital health innovators through education, collaboration, and tech skills. And we are the healthcare content creation arm. We focus on building health literacy, a community of health literacy through content creation. And as tech innovators, you have to know how to put yourself out there. You have to put your services in the eyes and the ears of everyone. That's why it's very important why we have this arm. And that's why it's very important we brought a special expert today to give us a wonderful discussion. So today we are joined with a fellow medic, communications expert, strategic marketer, and she's the founder of Dissolution Medic. She will tell us more about herself while she comes on, and she will lead the discussion. And she is Dr. Anjelee Berrera. So let's welcome Dr. Anjelee.
Thank you so much. It's such a kind introduction, and I really appreciate you asking me to join today. So just bear with me for a second while I share my screen with you. Okay, so I will get started. And so thank you again for having me today. As mentioned, I'm Anjelee Berrera. I used to be a doctor. I qualified from Bristol Medical School, and then I went to work for the NHS in London before I changed direction and went into marketing. As mentioned, I founded Dissolution Medic, which started out just as a blog, really documenting my experiences of leaving medicine. But over time, it became a platform to support other people who are questioning their careers. And I've had the privilege of coaching not only doctors, but lawyers, teachers, and pilots as well. Regarding my work as a marketer, I work with primarily small to medium-sized enterprises to develop their brands, and I've had the opportunity to collaborate with some incredible firms in many different industries, including health technology, management consulting, recruitment, construction, and medical communications. I'm also in the process of developing a book about my process when it comes to branding and strategic storytelling, so watch this space. So I don't know how many of you have businesses of your own, or perhaps plan to launch one, or maybe dream of launching one in the future. So what I'd like to do today, if I may, is talk a little bit about the common challenges that I see in my experience as a marketer, to hopefully give you an insider's view and a head start. Okay. Many startups and SMEs, so small to medium enterprises, have the problem of having quite generic branding and marketing. So conversations at leadership level often start out with this concept, okay, we just want to do more of what we're doing right now, but we want to do it better. So that's something I see a lot. It's very understandable that that happens, given how busy you can be in a small company and that kind of scrappy corporate environment when you're first beginning. However, the problem is this doesn't provide necessarily the inspirational drive or the strategic clarity required to grow and refine your business. Now, there are several reasons for this, and in part, it can be put down to mentality differences. Small and larger firms think differently, obviously, and also your degree of certainty over your offerings, your direction, and the goals you want to achieve, and the plan that you're putting together to get there. So, let's talk a little bit about those mentality differences. So first of all, on the first level, we have startups. So they're very much in survival mode. So they have that scrappy mentality, and you're taking whatever you can get. You're open to grabbing many types of opportunities, many types of clients, and you're building budding relationships and maybe growing a core team. Then you move up to SME mode. This is the figuring out mode. So you have a decent sense of what you're good at. You're choosing opportunities that align more with what you want to do. Perhaps you're hiring more people, perhaps you're understanding where you're going next and how to sell yourselves better to get to the next stage. This is the stage where companies start to actually invest money into their marketing, and may even designate formal marketing functions within the business. Then we get to medium to large enterprise. This is the confidence mode. So you know who you are, you can talk about yourselves reasonably comfortably, you have a functional marketing department and probably a reasonable marketing budget, and you're a bit more able to predict aligned opportunities further in advance. And then right at the top, we have the large enterprises, or the very large enterprises, and that's power mode. So they have the size, the ability, and the resources to pursue many types of opportunity and acquire further capabilities. Now it's at the critical point here between small to medium and medium to large enterprises that I normally get called in. And this is a really significant point for a marketer like myself, because this is the point where a business can't really cross over into the next level unless they have decent marketing. It's not always the case. There are certainly some exceptions, but generally for most companies, this is the point where you'd be expected to have a few core marketing pieces figured out. Is that making sense so far?
Okay. Yes, you are.
Brilliant. Okay, so what are those core marketing pieces? Well, it may be slightly different for different companies, but essentially you'd want things like a reasonable brand book that contains basic visual elements, at the very least, standard logo treatments, colors, fonts, basic templates, and style rules. You also need to create a brand platform. That's a communications platform that clearly and concisely tells people what you do. And it tells people how you do it, who you are, and has lots of value there. And it says it in a compelling way that makes clients, customers, and future employees want to engage with you. Once you've figured out what you're going to say, you'll also need a decent marketing and communication strategy to help you distribute that message to your audience. So who are you going to target as your primary audience? And what are the goals of your marketing plan? What key performance indicators will it need to hit? Who's going to be doing your marketing as well? Do you have team members with the correct skills? Perhaps you need to bring in talent. Then you'll need a tactical plan. What does your marketing roadmap for the next quarter or the next year look like? Are you going to do something like a social media campaign? Will you print physical leaf pieces to give to your clients? Is email marketing the right option for you? You'll probably want a decent updated website at some point as well. Because at this stage, a singular WordPress page with perhaps a few JPEGs stuck on it probably won't do the trick. If you're going to level up, you'll need something professional, something modern, that provides a good shop window to your business. And you'll probably want some marketing collateral as well for pitches, such as a pitch deck. And of course, lastly, you'll need to execute the plan. You'll need to actually action all of those things to make sure that your marketing goals are reached. Now, as for me, the bits I help businesses with are the bits in the middle, which is what I like to do the most. I'm not a graphic designer myself, although I certainly enjoy working with them. And as for the tactical execution, well, I was never about the details. But I do help train marketing teams to do these things. And frankly, the strategic side of things keeps them busy enough. So I haven't got time to go into every one of those core pieces in detail today. So what I'll do is I'll just talk about my favorite bit, which is the brand platform, and just give you a bit of context on why they're so important. So what is a brand platform? Well, essentially, it's an internal piece of marketing collateral that details messaging about your business that you can then use to create public-facing materials. I'll give you some examples. I get asked all the time things like whether I think a company should do a blog series. Can we do a social media campaign? Can we write an email to our clients detailing our philosophy? And the answer is always Yes, of course you can. You can do all of those things. But the real question is, what are you going to say? SME marketing teams are often stumped because writing an article about your company seems like such a simple concept until they sit down to actually write it and they realize that they don't know what to focus on. They don't know what audience to target. They don't know what tone or style to say it in. And this may come as a surprise because creative people, founders, people who lead businesses, they are often people who like to talk about what they do. Perhaps they've had success in, posting on social media about founding their business. They've shared their own opinions. They've shared their areas of expertise. And often they've created a really good amount of organic growth and they're getting good feedback from their network and their clients. But then they hit this stage where they're trying to grow beyond that organic growth. And there comes a point where the leadership team just don't have the time to be the entire marketing team all by themselves. They want to focus on other things like business development and strategy. So at this point, you need to instruct a marketing professional to take on some of the burden. But how do you do that? How do you get them to communicate about your business in the right way? How do you produce marketing that aligns with the voice, the strategic goals, the essence of your business? The answer is, of course, you need to find a way to articulate it to them. And this is the difficult part because a lot of leaders don't know how to talk about their businesses. To illustrate my point, I often do a little experiment. So I get company leaders to do an elevator pitch about a well-known global brand in perhaps a marketing workshop that I'm running. So I get them to choose the brand, something that everybody knows, and then I get them to do the elevator pitch for that brand, then do it for their own business. And we compare how easy the two processes were, how well they spoke, how concisely and confidently they covered all the key points. And hands down, every single time, the big global brand that everybody knows wins. And people often laugh when I do this exercise with them because it's funny that it's genuinely easier to talk about something like McDonald's than their own business that they work in and day out and that they founded from the ground up. And the reason that it's so counterintuitively hard is because when you're in it, it's difficult to see the wood for the trees. I've met so many incredibly passionate leaders over the years who are absolutely great at what they do, yet they really struggle to take a step back from their company far enough to be able to define their brand. And that's when they get a strategic marketer to support to help get that helicopter top-down kind of view. And then they also need support, of course, to write these findings down. And they've got to cover the 4 C's. It's got to be clear, concise, creative, and compelling copy. Because while leadership can often talk at length about their company, let's face it, nowadays, especially, attention is a limited commodity. So you need to be able to say what you need to say to your clients in a way that captures their interest. A final concept that I want to cover today is developing a strong brand platform that resonates and is authentic. And that is the fact that it requires a bit of self-reflection on your part. There is the surface level stuff, which is about describing what you do. What service lines do you have? What do you offer to clients? How do you do that? Perhaps you have proprietary tools, an IP, a core methodology or a philosophy that you use. Perhaps it's something about your team. Maybe there's something in the way that you work and your attitude to work that makes it possible for you to do what you do. That tends to be the easier bit, but there is a deeper part to brand work, which is more complex and more difficult, but also rewarding and interesting because it's about the essence of who you are as a business. You're asking questions here like, what are your values as a business? Who are you? It might sound fluffy, and it is, but it's important because nailing this bit makes your marketing really strong. Why do you do what you do? What drives you? What is your vision? What's your mission for the business? At SME level, it can be really exciting to dedicate some energy to working this out. It's not that startups don't have these conversations. They do. But again, as I mentioned earlier, messaging for startups tends to be very generic. So I'll give you an example. Many startups, when I ask them about their vision, they'll say something like, we want to be the best provider of X or the fastest provider of Y. And it's interesting to me that superlatives are so often used in this way when it's not really realistic for a startup, and nor is it that helpful usually in selling your services. Because while it's a great dream and it's idealistic to have, your clients will know that there are plenty of competitors and larger companies out there who have equal or greater capabilities. So how do you differentiate yourself? How do you capture your USP? Values can be quite generic too. Startups often say things like, our values are that we're honest. We have a great team who are like a family. We focus on our clients and we work hard. And of course, those are really nice things to say. But you could take those words and apply them to literally any business in any industry, regardless of whether they're true or not. So what is much more powerful is having values that are custom built for your company and truly reflective of who you are. So in short, the key to great branding is knowing who you are. For SMEs, my advice would be always to take this process seriously. Marketing is a skill, and the leaders who understand that and get educated in that are going to have the edge over those who don't. For startups looking to level up into the SME space, my best advice would be to take notice of your identity as a company, because at some point, your business development plan will require you to be good at talking about yourself. There will be a certain level of growth that will only be accessible to you if you get good at that. And whilst it's not always an easy process, it's absolutely fascinating, rewarding, and it's an important one that will ultimately play a critical part of you achieving your strategic goals. So thank you so much for your attention. I've put my LinkedIn there if anyone wants to get in touch in the future. But if you have any questions right now, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Thank you so much. This was really, really. I learned so much. I like this is a great blessing to me because this is so practical. This is so important. It's so relatable. It's so relatable. So in this part of the world, especially like for example in our healthcare now in the healthcare, a lot of founders, co-founders, people in the leadership positions, they don't actually understand how important marketing is for the upscaling of the businesses. So at times they don't even consider putting these things into their budget. They don't consider putting these things into their plan. They don't consider strategizing this way. So one major challenge here is how to get them to understand the importance of this strategic marketing. So this is so enlightening. Thank you so much for this. This
Of
is
course.
really wonderful. Thanks
I'm so
so
glad.
much.
No problem.
Yes, I'm sure a lot of people have some questions. Dr. Val will lead the Q&A section. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Yes.
Hello,
So if
Dr. Val.
you have okay. Thank you so very much, Ma. This was a very enlightening session. I learned a lot. What you told us about, building a brand as a company, as a startup, and as a small medium enterprise. It's really not easy, but you being able to show us how we can create our brand platform is really amazing, and we're really grateful. Thank you very much. If you have questions, you can simply raise your hands or you ask the question. Is that okay, sir? For anyone who has questions, or if you're feeling shy, you can simply ask them in the in the chat box. Okay. Any question, you could raise your hand or ask a question or ask your question in the chat box. In the chat box.
My hand is raised. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, I can see it. Um, Noella, right? Ask your question. You can ask your question.
Okay. Hello everyone. Thank you so much for this session. And I want to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Samba Octavis who sent the link to us. So we appreciate you all for the great thing you're doing. And I'm Dr. Ngwanya Manuela. I'm a medical doctor, and I'm also the founder of a non-profit organization called Talk Pregnancy with Dr. Nuela. So I've been running this NGO for 4 years now, and I'll have to be starting a business. So I want to ask Ma whether starting a business, because I know business is different from an NGO. So do I have to really start up like a different platform totally? Because it's still something under the NGO, but is the business aspect. So I don't know if you get me. So I'll be very glad if that is clarified for me. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Can I ask, so what will the business do? What will be your offering?
Okay, no, the business is going to be offering healthcare services to people, and this in a place where they'll have to be paying now. It's really a different, let's say, different structure per se. Because what we do in the NGO, we help others, we help pregnant women, we support them depending on the funds that have come in. But we want to start seeing how we could be.
Noella, are you there?
The sound.
I think we lost her. Okay, she's left. Sorry, why we for her to come back? Ken, you can speak.
All right, thank you so much for the opportunity to actually ask my question. So, Dr. Anjelee, it's a pleasure listening to you. I enjoyed your speech. It was quite packed. Uh, I honestly wish it lasted longer so I could get more. Like, I was like, why is she stopping? Why is she stopping? She should go ahead. It's only less than 12 minutes and it's ended. Uh, yeah, so I have a question. So a good number of persons here don't actually have any business at the moment. A good number are students. They are looking forward to maybe one day founding their own company. So at the moment, they don't have any company at the moment. So what will be your advice for such persons who don't yet have a business with respect, marketing or actually learning how to sell is one of the most important skills anyone can actually acquire. But as healthcare professionals, we are not taught that, that skill of learning how to sell, in a very fundamental way that we actually imbibe it. We get to pick it from here and there and here, understand? So what would be your advice for students, early career persons who are yet to start their own business, or who will finally one day start their business with respect to, learning, acquiring these skills for selling and marketing that are very, very vital for survival in the business world?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. You're absolutely right. In the healthcare field, we are not taught these skills, and I think we have almost a fear of those skills. There's a kind of mentality that it's a bad thing, that marketers are inherently bad people, or that the field is a bad thing because you're bigging yourself up, and as medics, that feels a little bit alien to a lot of us, so much so that people, when I told them that I was going into marketing, they said, oh, you're going to the dark side, after leaving medicine. So it is very alien. So yeah, what I would say is that there is a mental leap that you have to go from when you're going from medicine into business. And part of that is just accepting, first of all, that you're going to have to learn to talk about yourself and big yourself up and sell what you have to sell, in a way that that might feel a little bit uncomfortable for you. But it's just recognizing, first of all, that might be difficult. But a way that, I mean, there's so many ways that that you can learn those skills. And marketing, I mean, I'm very lucky in that there is so much free information out there. I think for a lot of medics that I coach, doctors that I coach, there's this sense that if you don't have a qualification in it, if you haven't done a master's degree, in marketing, then you can't possibly have the skills. But that's not the case at all. There are free courses, there are free resources. When I started, I did the HubSpot Academy, which was totally and utterly free. And learn so much, really from nothing, about marketing, about comms, about selling, about the kind of interdisciplines within marketing, the different types of marketing, and yeah, this information is really, really accessible. So what I would say is, if you're not sure yet about what kind of business you'd want, and you're still thinking about it, there's absolutely no harm in leveling up that skill set and just doing some online courses. I mean, seriously, there is so much information out there. And having this knowledge at the early stage will really put you ahead of your peers in the space, because I mean, it's not just in your part of the world. I appreciate that in your part of the world as well, people don't really understand the power of marketing. But in this part of the world as well, I see it all the time. A lot of the work that I do as a strategic marketer is actually educational at the beginning. It's bringing corporate leaders up to speed. We spend sessions and workshops. And I spend this time doing what I just done for you now, which is teaching these basic concepts. Now, can you imagine how that would be if you knew that from the beginning? If you went out and learned some of those skills and you understood the place of marketing before you even got there, then you would build that in to your strategy, to your plan, to the way that you do business, and it would just become an integral part of how you think. And if you can think like that from the beginning, then you are way ahead already. You're way ahead of other people, in my experience, of a lot of other startups and SMEs. And really, one of the biggest pieces of that is you stop getting in your own way when you understand these concepts. And I've worked with a lot of startups, and the thing is, when it's your business and it's your baby, it's you want to talk about it in a certain way, you want it to come across in a certain way, and that can be really challenging to let go of. It can be really, really hard to let go of that narrative. But at some point, if you want to grow your business, you will have to let other people in. You will have to trust marketers to take your message and distribute it. You will have to let other people in on your platform. And when you understand marketing, you understand why, you understand how to do this in a way that you still feel comfortable with, that still aligns with your strategic goals, but you're allowing that to happen. And really, that's been sort of a really big barrier as part of that upfront educational piece, is to kind of reassure leaders that they do need to allow that process to happen, if that makes sense.
It does.
Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have a few questions in the chat. And the first one says, are there unique suggestions for individual branding as an individual in terms of skills, expertise, and personal values?
Yeah, and so as an individual, if you're branding yourself, it's very similar. It's a very similar process to doing the branding of a business. I mean, when you first start out, it may be that you're doing everything on your own, and you're having to market yourself, or maybe your offering revolves around your own personal brand, as a medic. And as an entrepreneur. And I think the strongest leaders that I have worked with have done some work around how to communicate, around what they believe in, what their opinions are, what their drive is, what their story is. This can be really difficult for doctors for the reasons that I mentioned. But also a part of the difficulty can be that when you leave or perhaps try to branch out from medicine into the business world, sometimes there can be a bit of pushback. People may say, "Well, what are you doing with your life? Why aren't you focusing on your medical career?" And having that pushback from people can sometimes cause people to lose confidence. And then your story really becomes around, well, I don't know if this is going to work. And it comes across as not very confident. And so I see that feeding into the way that people talk about their businesses as well and their personal brand. So you don't want to do that. You want to practice shaping your narrative from the very early stages, regardless of whether you're leaving or whether if you're doing something else on the side, doing something part-time, whatever the situation is. It's about telling the story in a way that feels positive and good for you, that engages other people. So I'll give you an example. When I was leaving, I was absolutely emotionally all over the place. And my narrative was very negative. At the beginning, I felt like I was just very lost and very confused. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what the next steps would be. I didn't know how to be successful. So when I talked about my process of leaving and developing my personal brand, it came from that place. Whereas with time, as I learned more about personal branding and personal marketing, that narrative really changed. That story about myself really changed. I began to leave out the pieces of the story that people could pick apart, or that people felt that if they were overly critical, perhaps, or they draw out pieces of that story, like, why are you wasting your life? What are you doing? These things are all really difficult to hear. So I removed that part of the conversation and began to tell my story as somebody who was excited about exploring opportunities outside of what I'd done now. And it became a much more positive experience for me. And so I would apply that to any personal branding, that same concept. Having those thoughts prepared, having thought through what you want to say about yourself, whether it's online, whether it's at conferences, when you're introducing yourself to people, just having a little think about the story you want to build, about the way you want to come across. That is really critical. So that's the advice that I think I would give about the personal branding bit, is to just sit down and have a think about how you want to be perceived.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mo. So someone asked, are there any sorry, about if there are any additional resources that you would like to share with us, right, to help improve on adopting a marketing mentality. You mentioned HubSpot, and I'm sure your LinkedIn is a great place for us to learn more. Is there any other platform you would like to suggest?
Yeah, there are a few. What I can do is I can write them down and I could send them over after the session if you like. And if you want to sort of distribute them to the people here today, I'd be happy to do that, if that sounds good to you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all that you've taught us today. Thank you.
No problem at all.
Okay, thank you so much. We've learned so much today. I have a lot of take homes. I have a lot of things. In fact, I need to re-strategize my brand completely. I really need to re-strategize. I've learned so many things. Even Medics in Tech as a brand, also we have a lot to work on. We have a lot to re-strategize on. And thank you so much, Dr. Anjelee, for being here. Thank you for these gems you taught us. Thank you so much for everyone that's here. Thanks so much, everyone that's participated. Thanks for everyone that's listening. Thanks for everyone that asked questions, that participated. This is awesome. This is the very first, it's our very first webinar, and we're going to be doing this every month. So every month there's going to be a lot. We're going to learn so much. We're going to use this opportunity as a community to develop strong brand presence. With strong brand presence, we help to improve our visibility, improve ourselves, our presence online. And this is very important for our businesses, for the kind of content, for our NGOs, for our personal brands, for everything, for our startups. So thank you so much. And if you have more questions, please, if you're in our community, please ask the questions in the communities. Also, we can get connected on LinkedIn, can get connected on all platforms. Let's keep up the conversation. We're also going to post this on our social media platform. Please ask your questions there. Let's comment more. Let's keep this going because this is how it's going to be for the whole year. Let's network, let's connect, let's share ideas, let's share concepts. There's going to be much more from this. Just stay and watch this space. There's going to be so much more subsequently this year. So thank you so much. And we've come to the end of our webinar.
I have something
Thanks
to say. I have something to say before you close. All
Okay,
right.
please do.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Dr. Adedotu Ayodele, and thank you, Dr. Valerie, and thank you, Dr. Anjelee, for your time and for the insightful discussion. Yeah, we would like to get a copy of the presentation and also what you promised actually, so that we can distribute it to everyone who showed up today. And then secondly, I wanted to mention something to everyone who is here. So there is a sub-platform inside of MIT called the Health Content Creators Forum. So, there are people who are very good with TikTok, who are very good with YouTube, who are very good with, social media, and especially with respect to creating health content. So one of them is Dr. Valerie, who moderated the question and answer section, as well as Dr. Adedotu. These are people who get views on their social media posts in the upwards of 10,000, 20,000 views and comments. So we created that special platform called the Health Content Creators Forum for those people who are creatives, who are creatively minded. Not everyone has to be a tech person. You agree with me? Yeah. Some people are very good at tech stuff, Python, SQL, all those stuff. But some people are very good at the expressive aspects, whereby they can express themselves very well, and they can actually create health contents that actually create impact. So that was actually the reason for creation of this sub-community called the Health Content Creators Forum. It's been in existence for like a month or plus, and it's being headed by Dr. Valerie and Dr. Adedotu. Now, we are going to drop the WhatsApp chat to that particular community. So it's not the general MIT community. So hello, if you are interested in joining the Health Content Creators Forum, just click through and join.
Yes, I'm hearing.
There will be, every month there is going to be a webinar about health content creation, anything that pertains to creativity in digital health. And this is the first of it. And we are very grateful to our speaker and to everyone who showed up today. So I don't know whether that has been, we also like to connect with you, Dr. Anjelee. So we'll be posting your LinkedIn profile on the chat. Please drop her profile on the chat so that everyone here can actually go to, connect with her. And secondly, also drop the link to the WhatsApp chat for the Health Content Creators Forum, because this is just the beginning of it. And before we end, we need to take a picture to document our journey. It's one of the ways of actually leveraging social media. You document this and you can post it online, tell people about it. So we have our co-founder, Dr. Samba. He normally takes our pictures at the end of this program. He's very talented at that. And he's a very good marketer, by the way. I know, he was nodding throughout Dr. Anjelee's presentation, because, these are things that he has been, talking about for a very long time. And that's where his domain actually is. So if you have any comment, just make that comment and then take our picture, Dr. Samba. Dr. Samba, you are muted.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much, Dr. Anjelee, for this amazing session. It was really, really helpful to me. Sometimes it's difficult to separate the personal from the corporate brand and have all of that, to be able to scale. But thank you so much for the clarity you've brought in here today and emphasizing on the importance of really building a strong personal brand. So, hey, everyone, please get on camera and wear your best smiles. I always say contacts are for contracts. You never can tell just from a single Zoom meeting like this, who could be your destiny helper for the next level you've been praying to get into, right? So, and the person that could help advance what you're doing, could be in this call, but may be difficult to make out that person. So you want to just get on camera because you'll be able to use this screenshot as well to do a post and then tag us. So get on camera, start, showing yourself. Awesome. So thank you all, everyone, very much, everyone. To post, do tag us, tag Dr. Anjelee. Appreciate her for the session. Tag Medics in Tech. Share, 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 share. Let's grow our networks. Thank you, and over back to you, Dr. Ken, as you bring this session to an end. Thank you very much for amazing hosts, Anjelee and Dr. The co.
All right, so we come to the end of it. Bye-bye, everyone. Good night.